a lot of violence they're bringing to the ball carrier.
All right, we can't get too far down the road this weekend without at least acknowledging what this state has been through this week. How'd you do in your area down by St. Augustine?
Well, fortunately for me personally, I did fine. We're in the south end and the St. Augustine shores. We're not that close where my house is to the Intercoastal Waterway. So, downtown obviously was underwater. I know a lot of business owners down there. All my best for all them and everybody else being affected by, knock on wood, we were very fortunate this time. And I hope most people in our listening audience had the same experience.
And I know I did out at the beach, and I feel like we just have to make sure that we keep thoughts and prayers towards the folks in South Florida who are suffering this weekend as the NFL goes along. It was a storyline here in Jacksonville this week because the Jaguars had to adjust their schedule to get ready for the hurricane and then to get ready for the Eagles. Doug Peterson has been around this before. He was with the Dolphins as a young player when Hurricane Andrew swept through. He knows what it's about when you're trying to change things up and yet stay on focus.
This is something that I talked about this morning. We know that the storm's coming, right? And it can disrupt lives and the order of business each week. We just kind of gets you out of your routine a little bit. But, the biggest thing is just maintaining, focus and concentration. We've got people in place to help, the players and the coaches and their families, and let's stay on task, game plan today and tomorrow and Friday. And look, if we have to adjust, we adjust. It's just part of it.
Mike, I was at a dinner last night, and people were asking about Doug Peterson, and I said, he's so calm. He's seen this as a player. He's seen this as a coach. And I'm not just talking about the hurricane that was coming. He's seen almost every situation that a team can be in. His calming presence is so important to why this team is off to a good start.
No question. And, his methods are getting results. And don't kid yourself, if they're 0-3, it might not be as calming a presence. But, look, he's been there. Everybody who is in that locker room can look at him and know that he has achieved the ultimate goal. And he doesn't have to prove himself. He doesn't have to walk in and be something that he's not to try to grab your attention. He's just going to say, look, what I've done in the past has worked. If you follow me, I can get you there. Again, I can get another group of men heading in the right direction. You don't know which way the ball's going to bounce, but why wouldn't you believe in Doug Peterson right now?
Well, and heading into Philadelphia against a team that's good and playing well, I think there's a confidence in the way that Doug Peterson has this team playing. It seems like he's hot from a play-calling standpoint. He has the right plays at the right time. He's going back to Philadelphia, and the storyline there this week has been, do they boo him? Do they applaud him? How does this one go?
Look, this is a good football team, and we understand that. It's still week 4. There's a lot of football ahead of us, and we just gotta prepare, and do the right things during the week, and that includes me, and I gotta stick to my routine and stay diligent with that and the study and the planning and prepare myself just like the players do. So, it starts with me, and I'll keep relaying that message to the team.
It starts with him, Mike, and the message was, it ain't about me.
No, well, look, you don't think, though, that these players have a little extra incentive this week to do one right by the coach here?
Off mic, they were saying that.
You think maybe there were a few offensive plays that they've held back in the first 3 weeks to save for this game?
A Duval special, perhaps?
Maybe, something along those lines, whatever that turns out to be. Look, why would they boo them except for the fact that they're Philadelphia Eagles fans and they have a history
They booed Santa Claus.
They booed Santa Claus. That's right. It had to be said. But honestly, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, took him to the playoffs 2 other times. He ultimately got fired. Basically, they chose Carson Wentz over him, and I think the Eagles fans realized they made the wrong choice.
Without a doubt.
So why would they be upset personally with Doug Peterson now? Hopefully, by 4 p.m. this afternoon, they're booing the heck out of him because the Jaguars went up there and got a W.
Some folks around these parts who know Philly well, Joe, I'm talking about you, said this week he doesn't imagine that the Eagles fans boo him when he walks in.
I wouldn't think so. There's no reason to.
We'll see. We talked off the start of the show about how you can have confidence in this team based on the defense. Hey, that quarterback's coming off of his best game as well. And this week, Trevor Lawrence was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week. And as you can imagine from a guy in his spot, he said that's all about team.
And it just says a lot about, I think it says more about just this organization, this team specifically, the staff, the players that are around me. Obviously, I've been able to play well the last few weeks, but most of that is the guys around me and the coaches around me. We're all putting each other in positions to be successful, and that's just kind of the way it works when Everyone just does their job, and it's been a lot of fun. And obviously, I'm happy with the way I've played, but there's a lot of growth that still needs to happen. And I know there's things I can do better. There's things that this offense can do better. So we're going to focus on the things that we need to improve on. Obviously, Monday morning comes, you look at the things you did well, and there's certain goals that we've been hitting the last few weeks that we're proud of. But as far as just an offense, we're kind of looking at all the things that we can do better.
How the story has turned on Trevor Lawrence. He went from being a disappointment to a lot of people, more on a national scale than local, to being the hot young quarterback, and there's the potential coming out. He is playing really solid football right now.
Well, we've come a long way just since week 1, right, where we highlighted some missed opportunities, some easy throws that he missed that could have changed the outcome of that football game. It took him until the 17th game of his rookie season to have a quarterback rating of 100 or more. He only did it once all last year, and that's not the ultimate measure. Wins and losses are the most important thing, but through 3 weeks, he's topped it twice and sailed past it. So he's playing great football. There's no question.
All right, a guy who knows how well he's playing is wide receiver Christian Kirk, who says that for all the attention that Trevor's getting, he is staying low-key and that he's just barely scratched the surface of his vast ocean of potential.
He's really scratching the surface, and week by week, he's kind of unraveling and unleashing his full maximum potential. And so it'll be exciting to see how he progresses throughout the year. And there's going to be some adversity, ups and downs, but he has the right mentality and right approach to work through all that.
A lot of times there's a story about these guys playing golf in the offseason and developing that relationship, and you think yeah, they all say that guys are getting to know one another. Clearly these two have, in a very short period of time, Mike, developed a very strong unspoken bond on the football field. Almost, I know what you're doing, I know where you're going.
Sure, and I think that is as much a testament to how professional Christian Kirk is as a player as anything, to come in here and kind of take on the burden that comes along with having an $18 million a year salary. Everyone's talking about how overpaid you are, and he's just going out there and putting his head down every week and showing you that he is going to be super productive for this football team. Look, Trevor Lawrence, we highlighted it last year. He did the same thing with DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones, not to the same effect. So it doesn't always work, but you like the fact that you've got two of your best players, your premier players that you have invested in, willing to spend that time to try to develop that extra level.
And Kirk learned it from guys like Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green during his time in Arizona. Let's have our final big story here be about the Eagles quarterback situation, where Jalen Hurts looks like one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. They're 3-0. He's highly efficient, as good on the ground, it seems, as he is through the air. And Josh Allen said, yeah, you got to know what the guy does.
For us at the front, we all have to be smart this week. I think we have to play a little bit more, hesitant, but not too thinking about it too much. A little bit of a balance. You know what I mean? You gotta have a balance, but I think by the end of the day, man, I think you have to rush the way you rush, and you know who your opponent is. Heck, we got to go through the O-line to get to him in the first place.
Sounds to me like he's saying, don't hesitate, guys. Stay aggressive.
Right. Look, there are different approaches to this, and I think Mike Caldwell has shown to be an aggressive play caller. He was an aggressive position coach, had linebackers that played an attacking style in Tampa. But that is the great debate. What do you do? Because if you do get too quickly upfield and that quarterback can step up inside the tackle and then cut it to the outside, that's where big plays can happen. Jalen Hurts, outside of Lamar Jackson, probably the most dangerous quarterback when he breaks the pocket in the National Football League right now.
All right, so there are the top stories, the big things, if you will, from the start of our show. And there'll be much more sound when J.P. Shadrick jumps in here with Mike Dempsey for hour number 2. But now, Mike, is my favorite time of the show. And with all due respect to Ashlyn Sullivan, who I enjoyed talking with from L.A. last week, I really missed the chance to share the radio magic that comes from your buddy E.T. I've gotten to know him a little bit. Met him in the locker room. He came up, spent some time with Fred and I. His energy level's always this high.
Oh, he's a great guy, and he's very enthusiastic about what he does. And I've been told by some of the listeners who called in that they had a little something special this week, so I'm interested to see if that's the case.
My 18-year-old son said, Dad, do you have it yet? And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, come on, somebody.
Come on, somebody.
Can you give me a preview? And I said, nope. You got to help the numbers. You got to listen. So, folks, here it is, courtesy of E.T. on the Publix Tailgate Show. Come on, somebody.
All right, E.T., say it with your chest. With your chest. Come on, somebody! And welcome to another edition of Come On Somebody, the fourth installment of the 2022 season to be exact, but that's neither here nor there. Now, before it gets too ET up in here, I wanted to let those who were affected by Hurricane Ian to know that you are in my thoughts and prayers. Things like that you can't avoid, but fortunately, things like that is what brings people together. So keep that in mind. Now, let's get to business. Our Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-1 and have a chance to make some real noise. After that 38-10 thrashing we gave them boys last week, we on the map, but we not done yet. And Philly, y'all on deck. Y'all know how the game go. Come on, somebody.
We finna bust heads and clip wings in Philadelphia, baby.
As I like to say, bust your head to the white meat.
What's the repercussion for killing an endangered species?
The Google machine says up to a year in prison and a 50-band fine. You about that life, homie?
When you say like what? Die, Eagles, die. Jaguars, baby.
I mean, we don't really gotta kill it, man. Let's just beat it real bad. Because I don't got an extra 50 bands laying around.
Just a Jag dude from the west side, the best side. Don't try this at home, ladies. You might crush your chest.
Hold on. What you telling the ladies not to try at home?
Say what? What now? Come on, somebody.
All right now, Jag dude. Just so you know, I am an equal opportunist. Because them ladies will come on here and represent. Come on, somebody.
This is Amy.
Told you. Big Duval energy for the ladies. Shout out Amy, man. Come on, somebody.
Come on, somebody.
Oh, I already know them the smooth vocals of none other than Mac Daddy. What's up, my guy?
This energy is different. And for all of you fans that's born and raised in Jacksonville who hated on the Jaguars,
Talk to him, Mac.
hey, your time is up and you are no longer invited to the cookout, baby. It's a new day. Let's go, Jags. Duval.
Don't bring your behind to the cookout. Unless you bring in teal water. Then we can discuss some things on the side. Come on, somebody.
Big E, Steve-O checking in.
Steve-O.
Look out, Eagles. Duval. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Hey, man.
Hey, man. What you got going on over there like that?
Jaguars are looking pretty good, man. It's making me feel all good and stuff.
I don't know how I feel about your laugh, bro. It's all good. Come on, somebody.
Duval. Let's go. Let's go. This our year. Let's bring it home, fellas. Let's go.
Let's go, Jaguars. We're coming for you, Eagles. Let's get one from your chest. Duval.
Now that little girl, yeah, she's going places. The energy came in all shapes and sizes this week. As far as I'm concerned, we did our part. Now let's go watch our boys get this dub. Come on, somebody.
Man, is it the cart or the horse, right? I mean, is E.T. fueling the Jaguars with this radio intensity, or the Jaguars fueling him?
Either way, I would believe you if you told me that was the
Right.
truth. And I'd also believe you if you told me that E.T. personally knew every single person in Duval County, I'd buy it. I mean, he's the kind of guy that once you meet him, it's like he's your best friend. He just has this magnetic effect on people. So they love joining him. I thought Amy was very good with her Duval in there. A lot of people, as you can see, very excited about where things stand.
I love it. Say it with your chest. Spectacular this week, folks. And the energy. We got a game this week with the Jaguars and the Eagles. It is prime time at 1 o'clock. It's just going to feel that big. Up next on the Publix Tailgate Show.
The biggest part of what we need to do, like I said, not to, sound like a broken record, but it's really just for all of us to be where we need to be when we need to be there, and we can compete hard and throw our chips up high, and and see where the game ends.
The bass tones of Foley Fatukasi, who is a key part of the Jaguars' run defense. That's this week's Baptist Health player interview. The Jaguars and Eagles are less than 3 hours away. Coming up, Pete Prisco joins us for his weekly visit with Mike Dempsey here on the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Tired of hearing "fine" to every question you ask your child? Conversations with a child or teen in your life may sometimes feel one-sided, but they help build the foundation for lifelong mental wellness. Getting started can be difficult, but you don't have to do it alone. Wolfson Children's On Our Sleeves program provides just what you need to spark conversations that have lasting benefits. For free tools and expert advice delivered to your inbox each month, visit wolfsonchildrens.com/onoursleeves.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com. Publix Tailgate Show rolling along here. Week 4 of the NFL season. The Jaguars and Eagles coming up from the link at 1 o'clock. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey with you in hour number 1. And Mike, as always, you and Pete Prisco put your heads together and dissect what happened and what's going to happen.
Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of bad football for the last several years, but it's nice to have a team off to a hot start like this and being led by the quarterback, as we discussed earlier. Trevor Lawrence, fresh off an AFC Offensive Player of the Week award. I asked Pete just his impressions of what he's seen from number 16.
Mike, you can see him growing each and every week, and that's the best thing about it. And they do a great job of scheming guys open. I mean, the offense works, and he goes through his progressions and gets to the right guy. It helps to have a really good coach coaching you. It helps that you're getting more confidence. And I think a game when you go out west and outshoot Justin Herbert can do even more for his confidence. So I think this might be the one game where he really starts to take off, and you see those numbers go up and up and up, and they let him actually start throwing the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, he's getting great help from his receivers. Zay Jones had a career game last week. Pete, how impressive has the scheming been offensively to get these guys open? I mean, they're doing a good job themselves as well to beat the man across from them, but it seems like there's a lot more going into the process this year than we've seen in recent seasons.
You can tell how well coached they are. If teams play in zone, they know to sit down. If they don't run through the zone and run into another man. They know how to sit down in the zone and get open. They know how to pick and rub and get guys open out of bunch formation. They get creative. We were all last year banging on the coaching staff, and rightfully so, and now you see it. play out. I mean, there is some talent out there now, and they know how to get them open, and that's a tribute to Doug Peterson and his offensive staff.
All right, so James Robinson continues to impress as well with the 50-yard touchdown run. I don't know where he got. Did they give him a fast guy's Achilles, Pete? I'm not sure how that works with the transplant, maybe, but he's been phenomenal. The split between Robinson and ETN has clearly been in favor of James. Do you can expect this kind of workload share to continue about at this pace, or do you think ETN's role increases as the year goes on?
It'll probably increase a little bit, but I think it's a nice, tandem. When you have a guy like James Robinson who could do the dirty work inside the tackles, he did pop off that run, and you mentioned it. That was so well blocked that, there wasn't anybody within like 5, 6, 7, 8 yards of him right when he popped through the hole. So kudos to him. He looks even better than he did a year ago, which is amazing. And the work he must have put in to get that Achilles back being healthy again must have been incredible to watch, because it's an amazing, amazing comeback. But I think ETN gives him that little, ability to hit the home run ball and get him out in the passing game. And I think they're using him well. I think the combination is good right now, but I think you'll see more and more ETN getting carries.
Pete, defensively, this team has had its hands on the football a lot this season. A very big challenge this week. Jalen Hurts is playing at an MVP level in the early part of the season. Just talk about the challenges defense is going to have against this Philadelphia offense today.
Yeah, and Mike, I go back to last year. The New Orleans Saints were the number one rush defense in the league, like the Jaguars are right now, and they went to Philadelphia and they got run on for over 200 yards. It's a hard offense to prepare for, when it's in the middle of the season. That's the challenge. If it was in week 1, it might be easier, but it's in the middle of the season. It's a hard offense to prepare for, and you can't be overly aggressive in running to the football because they can come back the other way. So I think it'll be a challenge for this defense. I hope they don't play like Minnesota did when they played them, and I don't think they will. Mike Caldwell's been creative with his schemes too. They get up the field, they attack, they blitz, and you can't just let them stand back there, Jalen Hurts, and pick your part in zone coverage. I know the ideal formula for some people is to say, okay, well, if you keep your eyes on him, you don't let him run and get outside the pocket. But when you do that, it makes it easier for him to throw the football as well. So I think you have to mix it up. You have to come after him a little bit. You have to be creative. But it's going to be a challenge for the young defenders to not over-pursue, because things can go back the other way on you in a hurry.
Talking with CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco. Jags and Eagles on the way. Pete, offensively, you got to be well aware of where Darius Slay is at all times for Philadelphia. Is the best approach just to avoid him when you can, or do you have to keep him honest today?
Oh, I think you have to go after him. I'm always a big believer. Look, the greatest corners in the world get beat. You can't just take away that ability to go after him. So I think you have to go after him, challenge him, make him make plays. And, the Jaguar receivers have been so good so far that I think they're more than up to the challenge. So go after a guy like that. I have no problem whatsoever. Just be careful, but go after him.
All right, there are only 2 undefeated teams coming into this week, Philadelphia being one of them at 3-0, the only undefeated team in the NFC. Pete, the Jags going toe-to-toe, coming off that impressive win last week. What's your expectation? Can the Jags pull out the road W?
I don't think they'll pull off the victory, but I was wrong last week, and I think they're going to go toe-to-toe with them, though. I think they're physical on defense, and I think they can score on offense and move the football. It all comes down to who can block and tackle, Mike. I mean, you look at the defensive front of the Eagles. If Jacksonville can block them the way they did last week against the Chargers, I think they have a real shot. But I think ultimately, in the end, I think the Eagles will find a way.
We'll see if Pete is correct on that, Brian, but I think weather is going to play a big role in this regardless. I think, the turnover battle is always big in the National Football League, but if the rain is as persistent as we've heard it's going to be today, that could be doubly so in this game.
Well, the turnover margin, the takeaway, is a big reason why the Jaguars are 2-1 at this point, coming off big wins. I heard something in that interview I don't think I've ever heard Pete Prisco say. Be careful. I mean, Pete is always be aggressive, go after it. Words of warning from a guy who has seen what Jalen Hurts and their offense is capable of doing. Time now for our Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute official sports medicine provider of the Jaguars. Player interview this week. It's Foley Fatukasi. And unless you watch very carefully, you don't see what big number 94 is doing. So go get the game replay, get the end zone view, and just watch how he dominates the inside of an offensive line. Foley, a free agent from the Jets, knows he has to play his best, and the Jaguars have to play their best against the Eagles' running game if they're going to get a 3rd consecutive win for the first time since December of 2017.
I think they're pretty good at what they do. They run the ball, and I think they have, honestly, I'm going to just call a spade and give them their flowers for what they do. They do pretty well with moving the ball. So for us, it just boils down to the same thing. That's something I always reiterate. For every single man on that field to be where they need to be, when they need to be there, we throw our chips up high and, compete hard.
How does the quarterback who likes to run, he's their second leading rusher, obviously, how does that change the dynamic of stopping the run?
I mean, the dynamic in terms of our mentality, it doesn't change anything at all. We know what he likes to do, and he's very good at it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. I think I believe the biggest part of what we need to do, like I said, not to, sound like a broken record, but it's really just for all of us to be where we need to be when we need to be there, and we can compete hard and throw our chips up high, and and see where the game ends.
Doug told me when they signed you in the spring, they brought you in here to lead the running defense. Were the pieces already here, or did you have to instill that mentality in guys?
To be honest, the guys here, we were all already bought in together. So leading in my case is just doing my job as best as I could and bringing guys along as guys would do for me. So leading comes in many different shapes and sizes, in my opinion. And I think the lead in this regard is more so about being with the guys in the front line with them, letting them know that I'm there right beside them.
How is the communication with Foye behind you, with Devin Lloyd, the rookie linebacker out there? The whole front seven's got to work together, obviously. How's that going?
Amazing. Foye and Devin, honestly, I'm going to say Foye. He's the older guy. He's the veteran. He's seen a lot of football. His communication, and there's no game that's ever perfect, but his communication, more times than not, is spot on. He's loud. He's demonstrative. He can call out things, calls out plays. So I'm very happy to be playing, in front of Foye, as a D lineman, and for a guy like Devin to have a vet like that beside him, he has no choice, but to soak up what he's learning.
28 years ago, a defensive tackle who was here in the early years said to me that stopping the run is an attitude. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. It's mano a mano. It's you against me, you against us, Let's do this, stopping the run is all dirty work. There's nothing pretty about it, so he's absolutely right. It's all about your attitude and mentality when you come to stop the run.
Pro football is about the money, and obviously that was an incentive for you to sign here. But did you see the makings of what we're seeing right now, of a winning football team when you signed here?
Honestly, yeah. I saw, for me and my faith, I knew God doesn't plan anything for no reason. He has a purpose in all of his plans, and my faith and how I believe it. So I said, God, hey, I'm going to sign here, and whatever it is your purpose is going to be, let it be shown. And from what I'm seeing, it's been sharp, and we're going to continue to work together and see how far we can go.
Final thought, this locker room has a maturity about it that a young team, third youngest in the league, might not have. Where does that come from?
Honestly, the coaches are very, very, very detailed. The guys that are in this locker room, we respond to the coaches, and we're all bought in together. We truly understand that, even though we still have a long season and we have another great opponent that we're going to play this week, we can't do this without each other. So I really do believe that's what helps us cultivate that attitude of togetherness and unity and just our maturity.
Did the distraction of the hurricane bother you guys at all this week, or were guys able to just dial in?
I think, to be quite honest, guys are, concerned. They have loved ones, families. Guys want to make sure we're healthy. We're doing all right, coaches included. But to be honest, going out there, we make sure to stay dialed in on the job because we do have a job to do this weekend.
Mike, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, all making big contributions, all free agents getting a lot of attention. But this guy here, when it's all said and done, if the Jaguars do, go towards this division title, if they make a big run this year, he's going to be the reason why.
Every time we talk about him, we mention the fact that he was the Jags' #1 defensive priority in free agency, and you're seeing why, and it's showing up in the run defense. And something he said very early in that interview with you, Brian, is that, it's about being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. How many times have we heard about big plays happening against the Jaguars in recent years because of one blown assignment? Somebody gets over-aggressive, gets out of their lane. This is a question of trust. Do you trust the guy next to you to make the play that he's supposed to make? Early indications are they do.
Not naming any names, but Taven Bryan's probably the guy that we talked about the most being out of position.
Miles Jack would do it as well. He'd get over-aggressive and try to make the play, and not out of any malice, trying to go above and beyond the X's and O's, but that leaves your spot wide open sometimes.
You really have upgraded with Foley Fatukasi in the middle of it all. Well, coming up In about 15 minutes, Hall of Famer Tony Boselli and Jeff Lageman join us. But first,
there's been great communication throughout the first half and then going into the locker room, not just coaches, but players as well, of communicating what they're seeing, what they feel comfortable executing coming out. And then we've just been able to, like I said earlier, stay on schedule.
I caught up with Press Taylor, the Jaguars offensive coordinator, after practice this week. Hear his thoughts on how his team is progressing. This is the Publix Tailgate Show, and this is Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by our friends at VyStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along here in advance of the Jaguars and Eagles coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And time now for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
The excitement continues to build as the first-place Jaguars visit the only undefeated team remaining in the NFL. Of course, that is Philadelphia. And a lot of storylines in this one, none bigger than the return of Doug Peterson. Now, in Philadelphia, man, they boo because they care, right? At least that's what they'll tell you. Whether it's Michael Irvin as he laid paralyzed on the field at Veterans Stadium. Heck, they boo Santa Claus in Philadelphia. They also throw D batteries at J.D. Drew, snowballs at Jimmy Johnson. So, many wonder, how will Doug Peterson be treated today during his return? He even talked about it this week. He deserves a standing ovation. Andy Reid was treated well when he returned after he was fired and went off to coach in Kansas City. Doug Peterson has brought the city of Philadelphia their only Super Bowl. That happened in 2017, and frankly, Philadelphia hadn't won anything. Before the merger, they claimed the championship in 1960, but that's it. Today will be very interesting. I think for once, the Philadelphia crowd will stand up and do the right thing. Injuries have been very important for the Jaguars and the teams that they have faced so far this year. Let's face it, Jacksonville playing great football with wins here against Indianapolis and on the road in LA. Both those teams were missing key players. The health situation for the Jaguars has been spectacular outside of Shaq Griffin, who missed last week's game with a hip. We'll see if he can go today. Also, Zay Jones, an ankle. That happened during practice on Thursday. That could be a significant blow for the Jaguars, who again have remained very healthy so far this year. Storyline of this game, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about the offensive line. They've only allowed 2 sacks all season. Jawan Taylor has yet to allow a pressure. Last week in Washington, D.C., this feared Philadelphia defensive line, they had 9 sacks and 17 quarterback hits. To me, that's the key to today's game.
All right, offensive coordinator Press Taylor presides over an offense that is starting to hit its stride. They're protecting the quarterback, they're running the ball, and of course, as you know, Trevor Lawrence put it all together last week and was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So when I talked with Press Taylor, I said, what did he do? How did he do it?
The funny thing is, what he did was he made the game really simple. You know, he kind of just took what the defense gave him. Now, I think what kind of set it over the edge was he kind of made some plays off schedule. You know, the touchdown to Zay, there's a big third down late to Marvin that kind of put the game on ice a little bit for us. But, you know, he's simplified things. He understands what we're trying to accomplish, and he's played on time right there. And he's kind of executed exactly what we've asked him to do, and it's paid off for us.
Fair to say that the 5 guys up front are playing at a really high level right now, and that's a good reason why you're able to do so much?
Yeah, I think even everybody's executing at such a high level, or at least they have the last 2 weeks. You know, we got to continue on with that. But the receivers being on time, in rhythm for the quarterback, and being available and making plays, creating separation, you know, all that is. And then obviously the line giving them time to be able to make throws and open up running lanes when we needed them to. So they've all played really well.
I've never met a football coach who was surprised. But are you ahead of schedule with your efficiency, or did you see this coming?
No, I mean, I think we knew if we could stay on track and not get in our own way, which we felt like happened in week 1. That was kind of the disappointing part, was we felt like they did what we expected them to do. We had penalties, we had illegal formations, we had things that were self-inflicted that was disappointing to see. And we felt like if we could eliminate that, we could play good football. And that's what we've been able to do the last 2 weeks.
So you see an Eagles team that had 9 sacks last week and leads the league with 27 quarterback hits. How do you approach a team that's playing at that high of a level, or do you not even worry about it and just put your game plan in?
No, you're certainly conscious of it. I mean, we know that well. It's a very talented front. It has been for a while. Those guys, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Sweat, all those guys, Javon Hargrave, they've caused a lot of issues for a long time in their career, and they continue to do it, and they continue to rotate a lot of guys, stay fresh, and continue to just be relentless in terms of pursuing the quarterback. So we're certainly aware of it. You know, we got to do what we do well, but we have to execute at a very, very high level to be able to match these guys.
Doug, earlier this week, and now you have referred to Fletcher Cox with almost a reverent tone. I mean, obviously you were with him, you understand him. Is he that guy who can disrupt your game plan all by himself?
Absolutely, and I've seen it firsthand. You know, in the past, it was in our favor watching him do it, and now it's everything we can to not let that happen. But he's a guy that can take over a game. I've seen him do it a number of times, and you know, we certainly pay him a lot of respect. And Javon Hargrave's another one too. He's a very, very good player inside right there. Had a great year last year and is off to a good start so far this year too.
Press, I have to ask you about the third quarter. Your numbers are off the charts. So I think the thing that stands out the most to me is almost 7 yards per play. Plus you've scored 30 more points than your opponent in the third quarter. Obviously that's coming out of the locker room, right? What is it about the third quarter that's working so efficiently for you guys?
Well, I think it's really, there's been great communication throughout the first half and then going into the locker room, not just coaches, but players as well, of communicating what they're seeing, what they feel comfortable executing coming out. And then we've just been able to, like I said earlier, stay on schedule. You know, if we're not getting in the 2nd and 10, the 3rd and 10, we've been able to just continue to kind of throw the body blows to the defense right there, and then we finish those drives. But again, it's just staying out of our own way.
One more thought on James Robinson. You didn't get to see a lot of him in the spring and the summer, obviously. What has he shown you, or what did you see from him that made you trust him?
Yeah, I mean, you go back and watch his past, and that's what we all did when we all got here, watched everybody and what we thought we had. And then what the guys, Bernie and Todd Washington, had said about how he was as a player week to week, the daily process with him. So we knew we were excited about him, and we were looking forward to the opportunity to work with him. Obviously, we didn't get that opportunity. But then even the day he came back in training camp, you could see there was something about him, the vision, the power. I think the thing that's been encouraging has been he's been able to pull away on a couple of these long runs the last 2 weeks.
You're from Norman, Oklahoma. You're used to tornadoes. How do hurricanes compare? How did this work for you this week? They can be disruptive.
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. I'm trying to do everything I can to be present and here for the team, but also be present for my wife and my family and whatever they need. Go buy a generator or whatever that looks like. I have no idea. I know what to do if there's a tornado siren. I have no clue what to do if there's a hurricane. So we're following the lead of the team here, and they've done a great job communicating.
Best of luck today, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mike, when we talk about the Jaguars defense, we talk about Mike Caldwell. But when we talk about the Jaguars in offense, we talk about Doug Peterson because he's the play caller.
Sure.
But you can't miss the fact that this young coach is impressive, and he's got a feel for everything that's going on. He's got to get some credit, obviously, for the way this offense is progressing.
And he will, but that is kind of the burden, so to speak, of being an offense coordinator under an offensive-minded head coach, particularly a young one. And imagine that, Brian, a new regime coming in, actually looking at the film and deciding that James Robinson is a worthwhile player to get the football to, even coming off a torn Achilles tendon. And obviously, they are right in that assessment.
100%. Well, PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars. They have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Coming up, hour number 2, JP Shadrick takes over. But before we get to the second hour, Jeff Lageman and Hall of Famer Tony Baselli join us for First Rounds on Us. That to come here on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey, Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
Committed to the team, committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking will punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick will be here shortly. Before we get to the top of the hour and the beginning of second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show, we have first rounds on us. Tony Baselli and Jeff Loggeman join us from the broadcast booth at Lincoln Financial Field, getting ready for the Jaguars and Eagles coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Time now for our UF Help, delivering compassionate care and world-class outcomes, finding solutions. This week, Jeff, we go to your side to begin, and we go to the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen was talking in the locker room about how they have to be conscious of him, but they can't get away from the aggressiveness that's given them such good outcomes the last few weeks. So you tell me, how do you take Jalen Hurts and neutralize him?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a challenge just because this offense is really unique in Philadelphia. You know, you got a lot of the RPO stuff, which is the run-pass options, and you know, a lot of teams in the National Football League use the RPO game, but there's not many that have a viable threat at quarterback that can run the football, and Jalen Hurts is a real threat. I mean, he's athletic, he can run, he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry, and on top of that, he's pretty good at passing the football. You know, when you have that combination, it makes it very stressful, particularly for a middle of the defense. And what I mean by the middle of the defense, the linebackers, you know, because they've got to be able to figure out, is it a run, is it a pass, or what's it going to be?
Well, you're exactly right. And I think if you look at defending Jalen Hurts, he has struggled and has not been very good when he's under pressure. And so the question is, does Mike Caldwell dial up the blitz and get after him a little bit? And last year, at the end of the year, Tampa had all kinds of success of slowing down this Philly offense under Todd Bowles, who Mike Caldwell worked for. You know, so I think you got to get after him. Letting him sit back there being comfortable, he's going to kill you with the weapons he has outside.
Yeah, really good weapons.
Really good weapons. And I think Jeff's exactly right. He is a run threat, but he's not shifty. You don't see him make a lot of people miss in the open field.
Yeah, he's not Lamar Jackson.
No, he's not. But he has, obviously good speed, and, he is a threat. It'll be interesting to see how Mike Caldwell defends him. Does he dial up the blitz? Does he go after him?
Yeah, Brian, the one thing about Jalen Hurts is that, he's just got such a balanced offense. You know, the quarterback can run. Miles Sanders is a good runner. You've got a good tight end in Dallas Goedert. Devontae Smith, what they call him, the Slim Reaper, okay, big play machine. A.J. Brown, we've seen for many years in Tennessee. There really is no weakness because even the offensive line has some really good football players. And when you have an offense without a weakness, I think as a defensive coordinator, it puts you in a bit of a quandary.
Yeah, Smith might want to pay some residuals to Kevin Durant. He's had that nickname Slim Reaper for a while now, but that's all right. He's coming on for the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, I'd like to get a weather update from you. What kind of conditions are we playing in today, and who do you think that favors?
Cold. It's miserable up here.
You're so sissified.
It's cold. It's rainy. It's wet. They took the tarp off a little bit ago.
It's not cold. It's cool.
It's cold. It's supposed to rain. It's supposed to, rain on and off the entire game.
Yeah, I got the remnants of Ian up here, and so it basically has been kind of spit and rain for the most part since we woke up.
Yeah, Mike, it's a great question. I don't know who it favors, actually. I've been trying to figure that out. I'm not sure. I could argue both. I think you have to lean towards it.
Which team's going to run the ball better?
Well, that's who will favor, and I think you got to go with Philly, only because they're used to this weather. This is their home field. And so if you can't make a decision, I always lean towards the home team because this is what they are used to playing in.
The Jags have had great luck on the injury front. so far this season. Philadelphia pretty healthy coming to this game, guys, but one guy who will not be playing today is their slot corner, Avonte Maddox. How big of a deal might that be with Christian Kirk lining up there so frequently?
Well, I think that's big. I think that's a great thing for the Jaguars. You know, when you look at the corners for the Philadelphia Eagles, Avonte Maddox, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, they're the only team in the National Football League with all three corners, you know, your two starting corners and then your nickel. They're the only team in the National Football League that has all three of them in the top 50 in PFF coverage ratings. I mean, these guys are legitimate now. I mean, these are three really good football players, and that's the kind of engine that drives what they can do up front with their front seven. And so it's a big deal for Avonte Maddox not to be available, and so I think that's going to help the Jaguars and Christian Kirk out, you know, because that's the beauty of Christian Kirk. You know, you can hide him, put him in the slot, and with the Eagles missing their guy, you know, what are they going to do?
Well, but the flip side of that is Zay Jones got on the injury list late in the week with the ankle, and I think we'll see if he's going to go or not. He is officially questionable right now. But if he's not out there, that impacts this Jaguars passing attack because he has been the number 2 threat. And his speed and his ability to stretch the field, I think, has opened stuff up for Christian Kirk. And it forces it forces teams to really consider how they're going to match up against this Jaguar wide receiver crew. So that's something to watch is the health of Zay Jones.
Yeah, what I'm more concerned about is up front. You know, this Eagles defensive front coming off a game in which they had 9 sacks of Carson Wentz. They come in waves. They really are too deep across the board. And I don't want to say they've got anybody that's just, you know, the super stud, okay, but they're all really good.
Fletcher Cox might be super stud.
Yeah, but he's kind of on the downside
Yeah, he's on the back. He's on the back end. Yeah. He's on the back 9 of his
kind of like Brandon Graham, you know. I mean, look, he had 2.5 sacks last week, but Brandon Graham, you know, coming back from an Achilles in year 13, I mean, he's kind of on the downside. But, I mean, this is a good football team with some talent up front. And the Jaguars' offensive line, even though they've allowed 2 sacks, I wouldn't say that their play has been kind of on par with only allowing 2 sacks.
No, I'd agree. And a lot of the reason I think they've only given up 2 sacks, frankly, I mean, they've done a good job. I'm not taking it all away from them, but Doug Peterson has put them in good situations and getting the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hand quickly. And so it'll be interesting. Does Philly come up and challenge the Jaguars receivers and try to get Trevor to hold the ball and force him to throw the ball down the field a little bit?
What about flipping it around, guys? Jaguars front 7 playing very well, particularly against the run. How do they match up with Philadelphia's offensive line?
Well, listen, this offensive line for Philly's good, Mike. I mean, they're really good. I think they have the best center in football. I mean, what Kelsey does.
I think the guy in Kansas City is a little bit better.
Well,
but he's really good.
You turn on the tape; he's never on the ground.
No, you're right.
And he gets up to the next level and just dominates linebackers. And he's really good. And I think their right tackle Lane Johnson's one of the better right tackles in football as well.
Yeah, he hadn't allowed a sack since week 11 of 2020. Lane Johnson. That's unbelievable.
He's a good player. And then you got they are talented. They're big. They're physical. I think you have to win to beat them up at both guard positions. I think that's where the weakness is. And they're still good, but they're not great. And I think Fadakasi and Roy Robertson Harris is going to have to really dominate and get after those 2 guards.
Which they've been doing. And
absolutely.
And that's really been, I think, the key to the Jaguars' defensive success is that they're the number 1 defense in the league against the rush. And the reason they are is the play of Devon Hamilton, who has made major improvements from the last couple of years. Roy Robertson Harris, Fadakasi, I mean, these guys are playing really well, making it really easy for the Jaguars linebacking crew to just run downhill. And that's been really good for them on 3rd down. You know, when you stop the run on 1st and 2nd down or 1st down, however you want to look at it, that gives you just a much more favorable down and distance on 3rd down. So if the Jaguars don't do that, if they are allow the Eagles to run the ball, whether it's Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, then it's going to be tough on them as a defense in today's game. They have to be good on 1st down against the run for them to have the better chance of rushing the passer, because I don't think they're a great pass rushing defense.
All right, Jeff, Tony, have a good broadcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
On First Round is on us. And that'll do it for hour number 1 of the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick slides into this seat for hours 2 and 3 as we draw closer to a big Week 4 showdown between the Jaguars and Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. Thanks so much for joining us. We keep going here on the Publix Tailgate Show after this quick pause on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Tired of hearing "fine" to every question you ask your child? Conversations with a child or teen in your life may sometimes feel one-sided, but they help build the foundation for lifelong mental wellness. Getting started can be difficult, but you don't have to do it alone. Wolfson Children's On Our Sleeves program provides just what you need to spark conversations that have lasting benefits. For free tools and expert advice delivered to your inbox each month, visit wolfsonchildrens.com/onoursleeves.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking will punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
What do you call a group of friends who wear the same jersey for good luck, no matter how old it is, and who support their team through thick and thin, week after week, as if the very season depended on it, while tossing the pigskin and drinking Miller Lite? You call it Miller Time in Jacksonville. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
It is hour number 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And 2 hours away from Week 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field in South Philly. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, and a huge matchup today for the Jaguars, trying to prove it. Can they be this team they want to be? Well, you got to go toe-to-toe with a team like the Eagles.
Well, and you know what's going to happen if they lose this game. Even if they're competitive, there are going to be some that say, oh, they're just not ready for this level, right? And look, I mean, one team's going to win, one team's going to lose. I think what I believe is, JP, that the Jaguars are a good football team. And as you look at the way the schedule plays out the rest of the way, this is one of the couple of most difficult games they have remaining. Now, we thought the Chargers game fit into that category, and the Jags handled their business and dispatched them very easily. So I think it's quite possible they go up there and get the W. And then I wonder if the excuses will be, well, yeah, but you played them in a monsoon or whatever. I don't care. You know what? Make excuses for the Jaguars' 3-1 record, please, if they go up and knock off Philadelphia today.
You are what your record says you are.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Bill Parcells.
Absolutely. Let's get to some of today's top stories. Jaguars Game Day Radio brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. The Jaguars facing the 3-0 Eagles, led by quarterback Jalen Hurts. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson was up in Philly when they selected him in the draft and was asked about his growth earlier this week.
It's everything that
I think back then we saw when the Eagles drafted him, is coming to the forefront. This guy, extremely hard worker. He's dedicated. He's a proven winner. Everything has been thrown at him adversity-wise, and he's overcome it. You're seeing it in the way he plays and the way the guys rally around him and support him. And I think for him, being in, again, having stability, you're seeing it, right? Your second year, stability around the quarterback, stability around the team, talking about the coaching staff, that's where you see that jump. And they've added talent around him. He's using that, and of course he's an athletic guy himself. He's hard to bring down, just doing the things that we all thought he could do.
Yeah, not just running the ball. He's standing back there, throwing it down the field. This Eagles offense has over 400 yards per game, every game so far this season, and they're playing at a very high level, and Hurts is a big reason why.
Yeah, I think he's got more velocity. He's talked about that this offseason. He's really worked on tightening up his spiral and getting the ball more accurately on target. And look, it doesn't hurt, JP, when you add a $25 million a year wide receiver as talented as A.J. Brown. Now, you've got A.J. Brown going off in week 1, and then as coverage rolls to him, Devontae Smith has stepped up the last couple of weeks. So you got two great weapons right now on the outside. Quez Watkins is a pretty good field stretcher. Dallas Goedert, a very solid tight end, and you've got some good pass-catching back. So Hurts not lacking for weapons at all here.
Josh Allen on defending the quarterback in the Eagles offense.
That's secret hidden yardage. You know what I'm saying? We want to eliminate in this game, man. We want to keep it, if it's a design run, let's get on that. You know what I'm saying? We know that they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? They run the ball, they're going to do that. They catch the ball, they do that. When stuff breaks down, and he does a really good job of getting out the pocket and keeping the play alive. That's something that's up front that we have to handle.
Yeah, Jaguars defense has to keep their eyes up. This is a lot of movement in the backfield, the mesh point, and the read option and all that.
Right, and you have to respect when that ball is in the running back's stomach that Hurts might pull it out, make a play with his arms still, beat you with his feet. And keep in mind, he did this a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Football against Minnesota. Looked like he was running to go out of bounds and decided, no, I'm going to cut this back in, and started to weave through the defense. Ultimately ended up with a long touchdown run where he powered that in over the goal line. So don't assume the play's over until you hear the whistle blow with Jalen Hurts.
Let's hear from the quarterback for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. He was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, the first time the Jaguars have had the Offensive Player of the Week award since 2010. David Garrard won that award last time. And the performance last week against the Chargers got it done for Trevor Lawrence. His reaction Wednesday.
It just says a lot about, I think it says more about just this organization, this team specifically, the staff, the players that are around me. I've been able to play well the last few weeks, but most of that is the guys around me and the coaches around me. We're all putting each other in positions to be successful, and that's just kind of the way it works when everyone just does their job, and it's been a lot of fun. And obviously, I'm happy with the way I've played, but there's a lot of growth that still needs to happen. And I know there's things I can do better. There's things that this offense can do better. So we're going to focus on the things that we need to improve on. Obviously, Monday morning comes, you look at the things you did well, and there's certain goals that we've been hitting the last few weeks that we're proud of. But as far as just an offense, we're kind of looking at all the things that we can do better.
Well, we're going to hear from Trevor Lawrence coming up in about 20 minutes or so in a one-on-one conversation. But it's a nice recognition from the league for Lawrence. And as he said, it is about this entire offense. They're taking what the defenses have given them so far. They're not really pushing it deep down the field. They haven't had to. They continue to build long drives, and they've, more often than not been able to finish with touchdowns, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, look, again, competent coaching. It's amazing what happens when you've got a coaching staff that is taking the strengths of your players and scheming up those strengths against the deficiencies of the opponent that week or the tendencies. We knew Gus Bradley liked to keep everything in front, so why would you challenge down the field if they're going to give you the underneath stuff? And Trevor Lawrence, that's the difference the last couple weeks for the most part. Now, he's missed a couple, but he's been on point with his passes. He's been much more accurate this season overall than he was last year. We talked about this last week a little bit, JP. I never understood the idea that, well, Trevor's never going to be one of these 65% completion percentage guys. Why not? In today's league, the top guys are in the 70s. He's the number one overall pick. Don't sell him short. He absolutely can do that, and you're seeing him start to flourish with a great coaching staff around him.
And he has time to do it. The offensive line should get a lot of credit for that. Right tackle Jawan Taylor, part of that group, of course, and playing well early in this season. The last 2 weeks, no sacks and only 4 quarterback hits allowed. Jawan Taylor.
That's always our goal, to go out and keep him protected, and so he can go out there and make great plays. So we take a lot of pride in that, and I feel like we had a great week of preparation, and we got another great defense we're going against this week. So we're just trying to have great weeks of preparation every week, and just hone in on our technique and get better.
He said this week, Juwan did, that his father passed away in the offseason, playing this season in his honor. Of course, he had the preseason battle for the right tackle spot with Walker Little. There's been a lot going on around Juwan Taylor's world, but so far, so good on the right side of the line for Taylor this year.
Well, he's taken that and used it as fuel to play better, right? And whatever, look, you can argue maybe he should have gotten that out of himself in years past, but the bottom line is he is exceeding all expectations early in the season. He was probably the biggest question mark about the projected starters because he was in that battle at right tackle, and I think everyone agrees he has been the cleanest offensive lineman that they've had through 3 weeks, which is phenomenal. So you're getting players that maybe you didn't expect to playing above where you had them pegged, and that's how you end up with a season that's going to be better than a lot of people thought it could be.
The guys up in Philly just talked about it. The interior of this Eagles defensive line will be a challenge today for the interior Jaguars offensive lineman. Of course, Luke Fortner, the center, the left guard, Ben Barch, and, of course, the veteran right guard, Brandon Sheriff, will have their hands full against a guy like Fletcher Cox today.
Oh, it's not just Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrove, and, Jordan Davis is a massive man in the middle of that defensive line. He can move a little bit, too. So they've definitely got some beef and some strength there, and, that will be a challenge. Will the Jaguars try to run James Robinson right at those guys? I'm sure they'll take some opportunities because that's what James Robinson does. He runs between the tackles, but, you can't just bang your head into the wall all day. If the Jags interior of the offensive line can make that a neutral battle, they don't even have to win it. Just make that a neutral battle. That'll go a long way towards a W today.
Better interior defensive line, Washington or Philly?
I think if Washington's guys are all healthy, I'd take Washington by just a slight margin. But, you're talking about, if you had the second pick there, you wouldn't be too unhappy.
Okay, there you go. Jaguars defense, of course, got an NFL honor this week. Rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd named the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month for September. And speaking of stats and playing well early, he has an interception in back-to-back games now and really is leading the way for this Jaguars defense in a lot of ways. There are a lot of guys playing well, but Devin Lloyd, after maybe a little bit of a slow start, he didn't have a lot of time in the preseason on the field. He finally did in the last preseason game. He's really starting to put it together now.
Man, I mean, considering that he didn't play the way, it went for the early part of training camp, he gets hurt on conditioning day and really has to kind of work on the side for most of training camp until the last couple of weeks. It's been phenomenal. Imagine if he had been healthy right from the get-go, but I don't think the Jags are complaining about the results that they're getting out of him right now, JP. I just wonder, what is the ultimate upper ceiling of his talents? I don't think we're anywhere close to it, only 3 games into his career, and already he's getting recognition around the National Football League. Also had a birthday this week, so a pretty big week for Devin Lloyd.
Not a bad week at all. And that was his MO at Utah. He was always around the football. Interceptions, they would blitz him. He had a bunch of sacks. He had more sacks than Trayvon Walker did last year. I mean, and it's really starting to translate now, at least a few weeks into this season.
Well, that's why they traded up. They thought he was a do-everything guy, a mature guy who could come in and play at a high level right away. And, there was talk early on because people were excited about Chad Muma as well. Well, how much will we see Chad Muma? How much will they rotate him in there early in the season? Once Devin Lloyd showed you he had his sea legs, that's not even a question. Devin Lloyd is a star for this team for years to come in the future. He's building towards it now, but that's what they envisioned when they drafted him, and the early returns they were exactly right about that.
There you have it. Some of today's top stories as the Jaguars head to Philly to face the undefeated Eagles. The kickoff time at 1 o'clock today. And let's go to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Ashlyn Sullivan joining us from the broadcast booth now. And good morning, Ashlyn.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're hanging in there. We're ready. Ready for football. It's Hurricane Ian has followed the Jaguars up the East Coast, I guess. It's raining cats and dogs, huh?
It is nonstop raining from what we've been told. It will just continue like this. It's not a hard rain. It's just this annoying drizzle that we have been told is not going to stop. It makes it colder. It makes it messier. But now you question, the game plan for both teams, and will they run the ball more? That's what everyone's been saying in the stadiums. Are we going to see more now of James Robinson and Travis Etienne because of this?
I saw on social media they had the field tarped. Is that right? Is it open now? Guys getting
It's
loose?
open now, yes. About 20 minutes ago, they took all the tarps off, and they're not going to go back on. I just watched Zay Jones, wide receiver, warm up, and it looks like he's going to give it a go today. I know Adam Schefter tweeted out last night that he would play today with that ankle injury, so that's good news. But, yeah, it sounds like they're just going to bear the conditions for now.
All right, Ashlyn Sullivan joining us from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. A couple of league honors this week. We heard from Trevor Lawrence a moment ago. We'll hear from him coming up as well. Devin Lloyd, both of those guys honored this week. The AFC Offensive Player of the Week for Trevor, and, of course, the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month for Devin Lloyd. It's a good step to get some recognition. It tells you a little more about what this team is doing as a whole, though, when those guys are picked out by the league for those honors.
Right. It's that attention and it's that national media recognition that we always say, the Jaguars haven't gotten the last couple of years. And I even go to an hour ago pregame. We're in the Jaguars tunnel and Coach Peterson is doing interviews with ESPN and CBS Sports. I haven't seen that in years because, frankly, no one has wanted to talk to the Jaguars coach pregame. And they wanted to talk all about this Jaguars team and Coach Peterson making his return to Philadelphia, and Coach Peterson really downplaying the emotion that comes with coming back to Philly. That's all anyone asked him about, but he doesn't want his players thinking about that. He doesn't want the emotion of his grand return to impact their playing at all.
Ashley, yeah, obviously that is a story, and there are some other coaches on the staff that were in Philadelphia as well. I'm sure that runs a lot deeper than Doug Peterson, and of course, we'll hear from the head coach coming up in the final hour and countdown to kickoff. And, I'm going to guess he's not going to give you any more detail after the game. If they end up winning the game, then that might pop out a little bit more. What is the feel up there in Philly? What's the pulse of that return? Are Eagles people excited to see him? Are they kind of lukewarm? What's the story?
Very much so. It's been really cool to see, and I think it shows the character of Coach Peterson and his family and his wife as well. There have been so many people coming up to Coach Peterson, hugging him, having 10-minute conversations. We were just in the tunnel, and it was almost the entire Eagles coaching staff around Coach Peterson, the support staff, the trainers. It's been very overwhelming, I would imagine, for him. So many people coming to say hi to him. But the question of whether he's going to get booed here or if it's going to be negative energy, it's been only positive here. And I think that speaks to Coach Peterson and the person and coach he was here while in Philadelphia.
We'll see what happens when the Jags are up 2 touchdowns, Ashlyn. That might change in a hurry.
Maybe it'll change. We'll see.
It might. Ashlyn, thanks a lot. Enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Sounds good. Thanks, JP.
That's Ashlyn Sullivan from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Yeah, once the ball's on the tee and toe meets leather, all bets are off.
Oh, no doubt. But like I told Brian Sexton in the first hour, JP, what reason do you have to be upset with Doug Peterson if you're an Eagles fan? He brought you a Super Bowl championship. He brought you to the playoffs 2 other times. They chose Carson Wentz over him. And that was clearly the wrong choice. Not Doug Peterson's fault. But things have worked out pretty well. They're happy with where they're at with Jalen Hurts, and they still have that Lombardi trophy to look back on. So why be upset?
And they've got a Doug Peterson, Nick Foles statue out front as well.
No doubt.
That
Doug's never seen, at least until this trip.
Right. Putting ahead, of course, you can catch Ashlyn Sullivan on Jaguars Drive Time in the mornings, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're about 15 minutes away from Inactives. Up next to look around the NFL. There's an early game in London today. We'll get you updated on the Vikings and the Saints. And we'll hear from Trevor Lawrence in a sit-down interview. He'll take us through his week day by day and much more. The Jaguars and the Eagles coming up at 1 o'clock in Philadelphia. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit ridesmartflorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
How far should we go? When it comes to the health of children, we will stop at nothing, focusing on prevention as much as cures. Working with community leaders, educators, policymakers to make every child's world a place for them to thrive. Going to the nth degree and beyond. Nemours Children's Health, well beyond medicine. Join the journey at nemours.org/beyond.
From TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show. We're inside 2 hours from Week 4. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-1. The Philadelphia Eagles at 3-0. Coming up, kickoff at 1 o'clock at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. And we're about 10 minutes away from the Inactives announcement today. Let's take a look around the NFL. Week 4 well underway, and they're in London today.
Yes, they are well underway, JP. That 9:30 a.m. kickoff, which the Jaguars will have later on this month as well. All the London games being played in the month of October this year as the Minnesota Vikings up 13-7, looking for more, and almost got it a second ago as Kirk Cousins threw it off the hands of Justin Jefferson in the end zone, but they are knocking on the door with a 3rd and goal in this game so far. The Saints have turned it over twice. Keep in mind, Jameis Winston not playing, Alvin Kamara not playing, Michael Thomas not playing, Andres Pete not playing, so that's a lot of offensive firepower and protection not in the lineup today. Jefferson leads the way for Minnesota with 6 catches for 82 yards. Alexander Mattison scored the touchdown receiving off the bench earlier. Chris Olave has a touchdown for the Saints. Again, 13-7 with the Vikings knocking on the door right now, and it looks like they'll have to settle for a field goal attempt as they pass to Adam Thielen just short of the goal line. All right, around the National Football League, the NFL Players Association has fired the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, we'll refer to that as the UNC from here on out, involved in Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's concussion check during Miami's game against the Bills on September 25th. The NFLPA cited several factors in terminating the UNC, including failure to understand his role and hostility during the investigation process. On the sideline for every NFL game, the UNC is assigned by the league's head, neck, and spine committee and has to be approved by the NFL's chief medical officer and the NFLPA medical director. The investigation into Tua's recent injuries will continue. The NFL and the NFL Players Association, in light of these recent events, have agreed to parameters of updated concussion protocols that will rule out players who exhibit gross motor instability, as Tagovailoa did in the Week 3 game against the Bills. So whether or not that is deemed to be caused by neurological trauma or not, Players who exhibit gross motor instability will not be allowed to return to games. We also saw Tua stumbling, kind of grabbing for his head, but at the same time, he claimed it was a back injury. We all saw how it went down, and the NFL and NFLPA trying to adjust the rules here in real time to protect the players. This agreement is going to be subject to formal approval, including from the NFLPA's Health and Safety Committee. Speaking of good health, the Washington Commanders are expected to activate running back Brian Robinson off the team's reserve non-football injury early this week. The injury list, Robinson, who was in line to be the team's starting running back to open the season, is recovering from a pair of gunshot wounds he suffered in late August. The Washington, D.C. Police Department said Robinson was the victim of an attempted robbery or carjacking. He was shot in the knee, and as we've discussed, they said it missed bones, tendons, ligaments, just basically everything that was important to the function of the knee. He missed everything, and so if you can consider yourself to be lucky having been shot twice, Brian Robinson would probably fall in that category.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's an incredible story, and the fact that he's back out there this quickly or at all is almost miraculous. Really fantastic news for him and certainly for Washington. There's your look around the NFL. If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150, loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence won the AFC Offensive Player of the Week this past week. First Jags player to bring home that award since 2010. We then sat down to talk through how his routine has adjusted in year 2 with the Jags, the receivers, and the team around him, plus what that league recognition actually means.
Sounds good, man. I mean, obviously it's cool to be able to get that, honor, whatever you want to call it, that achievement. But I think it just speaks to kind of the team and how well we've been playing. It's not obviously just me. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and the guys up front, receivers, running backs, and the defense. I mean, everybody's just been playing well, and it's all coming together.
We'll get to this offense and this week's game coming up in a little bit, but I'm curious about your weekly preparation, maybe how that's changed from last year as a rookie and then a new staff coming in. Take us through your Monday through Saturday. What happens every day for you to get you ready for game day?
It's been a similar schedule, but I think I've just dialed in more on the things that I watch tape-wise, certain cut-ups, and just the way the week runs, each day having specific cut-ups you want to watch and all that. So Mondays, we'll come in, review the past game, we'll have a little lift and movement thing first, then we'll have an offensive meeting, review the game, put that to bed. Then after that, I'll stay for 2.5 hours or so and just start watching games of the next opponent. Usually I'll watch all the games in the breakdown, so it's 4 or 5 games. And then I'll watch that, go get my massage, go home, maybe watch a couple cut-ups at the house, and then I'm just kind of hanging out Monday night. Tuesday, really just starting my first and second down cut-ups if I hadn't started them the night before, and watch those for 2 to 3 hours. That's our off day, so I usually get treatment at the house. I don't come in. I got my office set up at the house, so watch tape there, kind of get ready to roll. Then we get our first and second down plan usually that night. I'll get it emailed to me, and I'll just look over it real quick before I go to bed. Come in Wednesday. We install everything as a team, go through practice. We finish up later on Wednesdays, so me and the QBs will stay after, and we'll watch third down. We'll start third down tonight. We'll watch that till usually about 8 o'clock or so, depending on the day. We'll roll through all those situations. Thursday, same exact thing, but we go red zone. Friday is a shorter day here. We get done earlier, so then I'll go in there, work on my call sheet, watch some 2-minute, some different cut-ups that I need to watch. And then I won't bore you with all the details, but then Saturday is a little micro version of that. If I need to touch up on a few cut-ups, whatever it is, kind of look over the week. Definitely just reviewing the call sheet those last 2 days a lot.
And you get involved in the call sheet. I mean, that's the point where you kind of sit down with Press and Doug and, hey, I like this, don't like this, and it's really a team collaborative effort, it feels like.
Yeah, so throughout the week, we're communicating things I like, ideas I might have after watching the third down tape or the red zone tape, and then I kind of match that with the ideas that they've drawn up. And I mean, usually they're very similar, and if they're not, we kind of get on the same page and do a great job of communicating. And Saturday is when we go through the call sheet and we talk about everything, different situations, what our favorites are, certain plays here and there. If I want to move something to a different area, or they have a change, because there's changes throughout the week every day on the call sheet. So there's some last minute changes, and then we're always dialed in on that. We meet a couple times on Saturday, and we're ready to roll.
Trevor Lawrence with us, Jaguars quarterback. You've got some veteran wide receivers around you, tight ends. I mean, the confidence level shows on the field when guys are where they're supposed to be. I mean, they've been in this league for a long time. They're going to run the right route. You just have to put the ball in the right spot. And you're starting to spread the wealth a little bit, too. Three different guys had touchdowns last week. To have that veteran crew around you to throw the ball to has to be a comfort.
It's great. I mean, like you said, just smart players. They're where they're supposed to be. I think the way they communicate, they're all different, just as anyone is, but they all communicate really well, and I think we all have that chemistry, and it's been built over the course of me and Marvin have been playing together now for going on 2 years. But as far as Zay and Christian and Evan and some of the new guys, that's something we've been working on since the spring, and I think it's paid off, the amount of work we put in, and I think it's starting to show.
That's Trevor Lawrence. Plenty more ahead with a quarterback coming up in Countdown to Kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network. That starts at noon today. And, yes, things have settled around him from year one to year two. And that's a great thing for him, for this organization, and certainly this offense.
I know it wasn't as simple as this, but it seemed like last year there was some of the just go out there and play quarterback. And you talk about the detailed preparation that he's going through. I just think it's fantastic, as we've remarked on it. 4 former quarterbacks on this offensive staff. Great for Trevor Lawrence.
Coming up, a fantasy forecast in about 15 minutes from Mike Dempsey, and we'll hear from Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth. Up next, Inactives and a pregame Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks and John Oehser. We're an hour and a half away from kickoff. The Jaguars and the Eagles coming up. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model, with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Jaguars face the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field in South Philly. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time. The Inactives have come down. The Jaguars have 7 players out today. Cole Van Lannen, offensive lineman, is down. He has a hamstring issue. Kendrick Pryor, a wide receiver, will not play. Running back Snoop Connor is out. Tyree Gillespie, the safety, is out. Rookie corner Montarik Brown is not playing. Caleb Chazon was on the injury report this week with an ankle issue. The outside linebacker and special teams player is out. And wide receiver Zay Jones inactive. He will not go with that ankle injury that popped up on Thursday, and that's bad news.
That's a big bummer right there, coming off a career-best game, 10 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And, you know, a guy you want out there to have his speed on the field to keep those Philadelphia cornerbacks honest, particularly Darius Slay. So we'll see how they arrange their defense today. The Philadelphia Inactives led by Avonte Maddox, their starting nickel corner. So you think that could be somewhat of an advantage here, but maybe offset a little bit by the fact that Jags don't have one of their starting receivers. Also, quarterback Ian Book, safety Reed Blankenship, running back Boston Scott, defensive end Janarius Robinson, and guard Josh Sills, all listed as the 6 inactives today for Philadelphia.
All right, those are the inactives. Time to go back to Philadelphia and welcome in Bucky Brooks and John Oehser. It's a pregame live huddle up podcast, and good morning, guys. What's up? How we doing?
What's happening? What's going on, JP? What's up, Dep?
Hey, getting ready for hey, John. Is Oehser there? Hi.
JP?
Hey.
Mike, how are you?
We're great.
John's also
fantastic.
there. That's
I'm
good.
ready. I'm ready to go.
We're glad John's there. Okay, so the Eagles and the Jaguars coming up. Measuring stick, of course, for the Jaguars here. We said that a little bit last week. In reality, yes, the Chargers were dinged up a little bit. Not to take it away from the Jags. Still a big road win in L.A. But, guys, this is where it gets real. The Eagles are 3-0. They're moving the ball all over the field. And if you can hang with this team, then you got a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, no, this is absolutely another measuring stick game. You know, the greatest thing about doing is the opportunity to do more. And so the Jaguars have an opportunity to do more against a talented team. This is a team in the NFC that is vying for, like, obviously the number 1 seed. You look at their quarterback. He's playing at the MVP level. And you look at both sides of the ball, particularly in the trenches, they get after it. So if you can measure up against this team, yeah, you feel real, real good about where you are at the quarter point.
I love me some Bucky-isms. What was that first one?
Which one?
The thing about doing is the opportunity to do more.
Oh,
I like that.
The greatest word for doing is the opportunity to do more.
Okay, all right. I'm in on that. Hey, and, you know, I think all week, JP, we didn't want to overemphasize the fact that the Colts and the Chargers were beat up because you don't want to take away from what the Jaguars did. But the reality is this is by far the healthiest team, the team that is coming in playing well. You know, the Colts, I think, are pretty good, but they weren't playing well coming into that game. The Chargers had lost. This team has won 3 straight. They're healthy. They believe they're as good as anybody in the NFC. I think the 2 teams the Jaguars face hoped to be good, but hadn't shown themselves that yet. So beyond health, I just think the Eagles are playing so well. This is a tough one, but it's wet. It's rainy. I'm wondering from Bucky, is that advantage Jags? Is that advantage Eagles?
You know, I don't know if it is an advantage for either one. I mean, I know the Eagles want to put
Jaguars
the ball on
mutters.
the ground. You know, they want to kind of grind it out a little bit with the quarterback, but he's been throwing. He's been putting up 300-yard games. At this level, because I would say it's like a misting more so than a torrential downpour, it shouldn't impact the passing game because all these guys are pros. You kind of
Right, it's not windy, so it's not a big
so it should be a thing. But, you know, the conditions and all that other stuff are a part of the fact that we talk about testing the mental toughness of the Jaguars. But today we'll give them a little bit of everything. A talented team, inclement conditions, situations and circumstances.
Yeah, Bucky, you mentioned Jalen Hurts throwing for 300 a game. Imagine if he had to throw in the second half. I mean, the last 2 weeks they basically shut down the passing game in the second half of the game because he had already run up a big lead. The Eagles have scored 24 in every game this year, and the last couple weeks were able to coast to victory. John, you talked about the health of the Eagles. The Jags have been the healthiest team in the National Football League, but without Zay Jones today, how big of a loss is he in the offense?
Yeah, I think it's big, not necessarily because, you're losing his automatic 10 catches, but it takes away the balance, the matchups that they were starting to like. in the first couple of games, Christian Kirk had been the guy. Last week they were able to come off, and I think they were looking at Christian Kirk a little more, so they went to Zay Jones. Now it's up to Tim Jones to step up, Marvin Jones to step up, Jamal Agnew. It's a different dynamic. I think it is big, maybe even bigger than the casual observer might realize, Bucky.
Yeah, it could be big, particularly if you want to stay in your spread set. So you've been a lot of 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, with Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and Christian Kirk occupying the 3 wideout positions. So now, does that mean you move the next guy up? Does Tim Jones come up and play that? Does Jamal Agnew do that? Or do they insert Evan Ingram into one of those spots and maybe they play a little more 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field, and use him as the extra flex guy, depending on the matchups? And so we'll see really early on how Doug wants to approach it, but it hurts losing a guy like Zay because he was a nice utility man for them.
Well, I think it also hurts they hadn't done it yet, but in my mind, he's their best deep threat to just go 55, 60 yards and be open down the sideline, sort of your classic bomb go route. I think he's their best guy at that, and that takes that away.
Yeah, it takes it away. We haven't seen the deep ball element, but
he was the threat of it, though.
He was the threat of it. And so now what you have to do is you have to manufacture those things. So you have to set them up, get them in the ideal look, and then hit them with a misdirection deep shot where maybe you throw a diagonal, Christian Kirk running across the field, Marvin Jones running across the field to get the explosive plays. Regardless of how you generate it, it's going to take 5 or 6 explosive plays to be able to put the kind of points up that you're going to need. And so those explosive plays, to make it simple, passes over 20 yards, runs over 10 yards. You need 6 to 8 of them in a game like this to be able to set the table when it comes to scoring.
Bucky Brooks and John Oehser joining us from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Jaguars and the Eagles coming up. Guys, how big a lift is this today for the Jaguars' offensive line against this defensive front for Philly, Bucky?
It's a big lift. I mean, this is a very, very talented defensive front. Now, what they want to do is they want to play hockey with you, meaning they want to have line shifts and run people in and out the game to keep their guys fresh and eventually wear you down. And so it'll test the stamina, the endurance, and also the focus of the offensive line to deal with so many new bodies and different bodies rotating in and out of the lineup.
Let's see, him had 9 sacks last week. I mean, the Jaguars are playing like, and they should believe this, but they believe they're a vastly improved offensive line. You know, to me, today's the chance to prove it. I know Bosa and Khalil Mack were threats last week. They did a nice job, I thought, because they got ahead in that game, and then they managed the situations, and they didn't throw into the teeth of that pass rush a lot. I think that's what it's going to take for the most part always, but especially today. Jaguars need to not be down 7-0, 10-0, and have the Eagles know they're trying to throw. To me, that's why the offensive line's played so well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the other thing the offensive line has helped the offensive line is they played on schedule, meaning you haven't seen a lot of 2nd and 7+, 3rd and long where it's obvious where they can peel back. The reason they've been able to do that, if you look at the way Trevor's played, like everyone talks about the number of completions that he's racked up, with a lot of dink and dunk plays. And people don't like to hear that term, but he's really running a dink and dunk offense where they spread you horizontally, and he's kind of picking apart those underneath parts of the coverage. As long as they're able to do that, and the Eagles, the way they play, they'll man up, but they want to play soft zone. Can Trevor be patient enough to continue to take the checkdowns till he eventually gets the big play that he wants?
Get you into 2nd and 6 as opposed to 2nd and 10 and facing an obvious pass rush.
Yeah, because as long as you can stay in what they call those mixed down areas where you're 2nd and 5, where it can be a run or pass down, puts a lot of pressure on the defensive coordinator to figure out how he wants to call the game. That is the key. So I would say if you're looking at the game, who is winning first down? Are the Jaguars getting 4 more yards on first down, or are they falling short of that mark? Because if they're getting 4 more, Doug Peterson has the game the way he wants it.
Guys, we've all been impressed with the start of the season for Jalen Hurts, but he's got great weapons. How well do you think the Jaguars' secondary matches up with this wide receiver core they'll see today?
To me, that's the biggest test. The biggest test is how will the guys on the perimeter hold up against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, because those dudes are real big-time playmakers on the outside, and Jalen Hurts has done a great job of getting it to them. So what makes it complex in dealing with the Eagles, to stop the run, you got to drop an extra defender in the box to account for the quarterback. Well, now that exposes you to one-on-one coverage on the outside. Can Shaq Griffin, can Tyson Campbell, can Darius Williams, can they hold up in their one-on-one matchups? Because if they can, then it makes it easier for you to be able to control the running game. But if they can, then Mike Caldwell has to play a bit of a guessing game when it comes to calling plays Do I want to stop the run? Do I want to stop the pass? How do I do it each and every down? Makes it a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and it really circles back to the top. We talked about the teams that had been diminished a little bit coming in. You didn't want to overemphasize it, but those teams were missing their top wide receivers, Keenan Allen, and going back to Indy, Michael Pittman.
Oh, Michael Pittman.
So today is the first time this secondary's faced two big-time receivers like this. I agree with Bucky. I think it's the matchup of the game.
All right, guys, well done as always. Enjoy the game today. We'll talk to you a little bit later.
Will do.
Guys, thanks.
Thank you, Bucky Brooks, John Ozier joining us from Philly. And check out the weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show Wednesdays at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're inside 20 minutes from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff coming up, including a conversation with Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. We'll return with a fantasy forecast and the latest from Philadelphia with Frank Franzi. The Jags and the Eagles kick off at 1 o'clock in Week 4. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good! And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol? The twist of lemon, Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Frank Franzi here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We continue from the bank in Jacksonville ahead of Week 4 at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. The Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles coming up at 1 o'clock. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Jaguars Radio Network studio. Network coverage coming up at noon. With countdown to kickoff, we'll hear from quarterback Trevor Lawrence. It's time now for a Week 4 fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey.
Well, I hope you got up early to check whether or not Alvin Kamara was playing. If you had him in a lineup today, he was officially questionable for this game in London. He was not active, and the workload's been split between Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray this morning. Latavius Murray got the touchdown on the ground, and probably not many people have him in a lineup this week. So hopefully you didn't get caught with Alvin Kamara in your lineup. In the early games, with the wave of inactives coming out right now, some guys we knew were already ruled out, included for Detroit, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DJ Chark. So your starting running back and arguably your top two wide receivers, both not available for Detroit as they take on Seattle today. The LA Chargers are in Houston to take on the Texans, and Keenan Allen will miss another game with his hamstring injury. However, Atlanta hosting Cleveland got some good news this morning. Cordero Patterson, who has been fantastic early in the season, picking off where he left off last year, is on the active list today, so we'll see if he's able to get a full workload. But if you were counting on Cordero in your lineup this week, you can leave him right where he belongs. Now, I think the trickier part is trying to navigate some of these later kickoffs today. Arizona at Carolina. You've got Marquise Brown listed as questionable with a foot injury. Early reports this morning indicate he's going to try to give it a go. Rondale Moore trying to make his season debut as well, with coming off a hamstring injury. Both expected to play. A.J. Green has been ruled out for the Cardinals with a hamstring. But the bigger name that everyone's wondering about in that game is Christian McCaffrey. Questionable with a thigh injury, a quad is what it is. Reports that he'll have to test that out in pregame, and it really is going to come down to a game-time decision as to whether or not he's going to be able to go today for Carolina. New England at Green Bay, of course, Mac Jones had the high ankle sprain. The Jacksonville product will not make the start. Brian Hoyer in at quarterback for the Patriots today, and he'll be without Jacoby Myers, who's been New England's leading receiver this year. Jair Alexander, for Green Bay, questionable in that secondary, so that could help Hoyer out a little bit, but expect them to lean heavily on Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. Denver at Las Vegas. Hunter Renfrow continues to remain in the concussion protocol. He had been ruled out for this game, hasn't practiced in a couple of weeks. And then tonight, Sunday Night Football, Marquez Valdez-Scantling for Kansas City, questionable with what is listed as an abdomen injury. Oftentimes that's code for a sports hernia. We'll see if he's able to go. And Tom Brady will get Mike Evans back off suspension, but Chris Godwin still questionable with the hamstring. Russell Gage, who had the massive game in all the receivers' absence last week, also questionable with a hamstring injury. And Julio Jones has a knee issue that landed him as questionable on the injury report. So if you're going to count on one of those guys, you've got to have somebody available to you either on Sunday or Monday Night Football to be able to pivot to in case they are inactive.
That is a fantasy forecast you'll get nowhere else except on the Publix Tailgate Show. We appreciate it, Mike. Let's head back to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia for the Frangie File. A visit with Jaguars play-by-play announcer Frank Frangie. On a wet day in Philadelphia, Hurricane Ian is now dissipated into a depression or less, and it's still dumping rain, though, I guess, in Philly, right?
Yeah, it really is. Good morning, JP, to you and Mike, and it is dreary, I think is the best word. A little bit cold in the mid-50s maybe, JP, but just dreary. And the word is it's going to be like this all day. Now, the field from up here in the press box in the broadcast booth looks pretty good. Bucky certainly will tell us about that when he's down on the field. But it doesn't look like the playing conditions are going to be terrible. It'll be a drizzle. They'll play through a drizzle. Kind of a dreary day here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Frank, we've talked all morning. I don't think anybody really knows which team this plays to the advantage of. So let's just talk about some of the matchups here. And obviously, I heard you earlier this morning on 1010XL talking about you think the biggest thing here is the Jags forcing Jalen Hurts to stay in the pocket and beat you there. How successful do you think they can be with that approach?
Well, I think they can, but that's it, Mike. That's exactly what I think. I think that's the key to the football game. And they haven't had to do this yet, so you don't know how Mike Caldwell will go about it. They haven't had to play. Listen, Matt Ryan's an older guy that doesn't move much. Justin Herbert was injured. Obviously, Wentz moved around a little bit here and there, but it won't be like this. There will be some RPOs, as you know. There will be some quarterback draws and quarterback runs. And I don't worry about those as much, Mike, as I told the guys this morning, as I do the scramble plays. So do you spy them? Do you kind of slow rush? I don't know how they'll play against him, but I can tell you this, that will be a priority for Mike Caldwell and for this defense, and I think how they manage that's the key to the game.
Frank Frangie with us from Philadelphia. Trevor Lawrence coming off the AFC Offensive Player of the Week honors. But as he said earlier this week, it's really more about how this offense is playing as a whole. He just gets to fire it around to open guys and stay upright with the offensive line playing well, and the run game certainly last week. But that's the first time since 2010 that the Jaguars have had that award. That's pretty amazing to think about. It's been that long of a drought, but it's a good step in the right direction.
Everybody's playing. Everybody's participating in that. One guy gets the award, but Trevor would be the first to tell you, JP, that's those three new receivers, Zay Jones with 19 catches, and Christian Kirk with 18, and Evan Ingram with 12, and Doug Peterson drawing up stuff that fits the four of them together. That's what this is all about. If you notice, he's getting the ball out quick. The first progression is there a lot of the time, if not the second. That's all by design as a young quarterback continues to develop. He's played great, but, JP, I think that everybody on that offense has contributed, and there's a good chemistry and there's a rhythm to all of them, no question about that.
And, of course, though, Frank, they'll be without Zay Jones, and he was in such a great rhythm last week. Who steps up either to fill that spot, or is it just a case of a little bit more taken on by Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Evan Ingram, and kind of you try to fill that spot collectively?
Mike, I think it's the latter. I think the last thing you just said. I think Jamal Agnew will be the guy that plays in three receiver sets. They'll use Tim Jones some. They didn't bring Kendrick Pryor up, so they're only going to dress four receivers. So I'm sure Jamal will get the first crack at that spot. But I think it's what you said. I think there's more balls to Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones Jr. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Evan Ingram maybe as involved today as he has been all year long. I think he's maybe the one guy that steps up. Again, you'll see Jamal and you'll see Tim some, but I don't expect them to get a lot of targets, Mike. I think it'll be the guys who have been targeted will be targeted just a little bit more. And that's a big thing now, man. He's been a big part of this. Zay Jones has been really good. He's their leading receiver. He has stretched the field, and some of those underneath routes that Christian Kirk has caught are there because Zay Jones has stretched the field. This is a big loss for them. He came, you talked about it earlier. I know you guys talked about it. He tried to practice earlier or tried to work out earlier, just couldn't give it a go. That's a big miss for the Jags, no question about it.
Frank, we're really just now starting to get to know Doug Peterson in the regular season mode, Doug Peterson, right? I mean, we've known him in the offseason, how he goes about his business in the offseason program and builds the training camp and then executes the training camp and deals with players and all that. But this is a competitive guy. He's not admitting it yet, but deep down in there somewhere, there's a tinge of wanting to get back to the Eagles today, I'm sure.
There's no question. And he's very wise not to talk about it, not to show it, because it's a football game. And what he's done a great job of, JP, is having his team ready to play, ready to practice during training camp. He's done a great job. And the last thing you need is a distraction. Oh, by the way, people are talking about when I coached here and what happened here and what kind of reception I'm going to get. And that's a distraction, and he knows that. So he doesn't want that to affect the team. But, of course, it's just an emotional day for him. That's the most professionally, the biggest moment of his life was here, winning that Super Bowl. The only guy that's ever won a Super Bowl for this franchise. So you know he's dealing with the emotions of it. You know he's going to want to see what the reaction is going to be. But he can't let that distract him. So I agree with you, JP. It's a big day. It means a lot to him. He is a competitive guy. But you can't let that be a distraction. And I promise you that's what Doug's thinking as well. I can promise you that.
Don't go crazy with play calling all of a sudden go off the sheet or anything like that. That would be not a good thing. Frank, yes, Mike.
I'll go off the sheet.
Oh,
Come on.
Yeah, let it loose.
Do-ball special. That's what we need today, Frank. Come on.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think you go off the grid because it's here. But you know there's stuff he hasn't shown yet. Shoot, he showed the Wildcat in a 31-10 game last week, which meant he wasn't trying to win the game with it because he'd already won the game. He wants everybody to know what's in there and wants everybody to have to practice against everything. So no telling what's coming today. I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough, a little over an hour from now. Frank, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, fellas, thanks.
Frank Frangie in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at Lincoln Financial Field, where the Jaguars will face the Philadelphia Eagles coming up in about an hour's time from now. And, boy, what a game it's going to be. The Jaguars at 2-1, coming off a big win in L.A. last week against the Chargers. The Eagles at 3-0, one of the top offenses in the NFL, 400 yards each game so far this season or more. And Jalen Hurts throwing it around. They're doing everything well in Philly these days. The Jaguars are too, and it should be a nice matchup today. Coming up next, it's network coverage. Countdown to kickoff. We'll hear from quarterback Trevor Lawrence, prior to the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor, and head coach Doug Peterson a 1 o'clock kickoff time. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart.